Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. Welcome to this edition of Africa Today. My name is Nahabe Kajura, but first to the headline. President Yoweri Museveni warns against smuggling goods into Rwanda. Somali MPs approve new Prime Minister. Lumumba's coffin displayed at his mother's side for a week in Katanga. In a sports news today, Mawugola holds Budu in 2022 Masaza Cup opener before the Kabaka. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, President Yoweri Museveni has advised the people of Kabale district to refrain from smuggling goods into Rwanda and instead transact goods in formal businesses. Now, he told them to engage themselves in formal businesses since the border is now officially open, adding that what is important is to focus on poverty eradication in homes. We have the report. The president made the remarks while addressing the people of Kabale over the weekend at the border town of Katuna and Kabale municipality on arrival from the Rwandan capital Kigali, where he had gone to join other heads of state that had convened to attend the 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. At the Katuna border post, President Yoweri Museveni was received by the Minister of State for Transport, Honorable Byamukama Fred, the Minister of State for Industry and Area MP, Honorable David Bahati, the UPDF 2nd Division Commander, Major General Francis Takirwa, Kabale District RDC Nyakahuma Godfrey, and the Kabale LC5 Chairman, Mr. Nshangabasheja Nelson, UNRA contractors and border post officials, among others. His Excellency Museveni urged the people to put into practice the objectives of parish development model as the government has outlined to eradicate poverty in their individual homes. The president also told them that respective area MPs in the country will sensitize their people on how the fund will be accessed in their constituencies. He said that the other source of funds for their local communities in the Emyoga funds, which also supports people on small land holdings. He also thanked the people of Kabale for exhibiting overwhelming political support for the NRM party. Away from that, the Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, has expressed disappointment in government over failure to fulfill its pledges towards enhancement of teachers' salaries. Now, William Zogu, the party's deputy president for Western Region, who addressed journalists on Monday, said that teacher industrial action is fair and constitutional.
Teachers under their umbrella body, the Uganda Teachers Union UNATU, a fortnight ago, laid down tools over what they described as proposed discriminatory salary enhancement. However, the government came out and appealed to them to get back to work or else they risk losing their jobs. Now today, while addressing journalists at their party headquarters in Najanankumbi, the FDC Deputy Party President for Western Region William Zogu said that they stand in solidarity with the striking teachers who have been patient enough and that their industrial action is fair and constitutional.
So nobody should actually intimidate them. Nobody should push them to the wall because what they are doing in their industrial action is legitimate. And even, I must say this, that the teachers, we must thank them because they have been too patient. And it is either now or never.
Robert Centenary, the FDC Deputy Party Mobilizer, said that times are hard and that government should not discriminate on salary increment because the economy affects everybody equally.
If a bar of soap goes for 10,000 shillings, it will not discriminate whether you're a science or an arts teacher. Why doesn't government bring equity, especially in payments? But this does not only affect the teachers alone. We have other civil servants. Today, the anti-corruption unit is very, very active. The State House Anti-Corruption and IGG. How do you expect people to survive in a country where it is becoming even impossible for somebody to afford a kilogram of posho that is now standing at 4,000 shillings?
The FDC unveiled their party flag bearer for Buchimbiri County constituency by-election, who is Mr. Owebei James, and Busongora County South by-election, Mr. Aloysius Baguma.
Well, thank you so much, reporter Nalugo. Moving on, in our top stories, the National Unity Platform Party has pinned the Electoral Commission to explain its move of cancelling the women elections at a time when everyone, especially NUP, are more prepared. Now, this was revealed by the party's spokesperson, Joel Senyonyi, while addressing the media at their headquarters in Kamocha, Kampala. Our reporter Ampomoza has more.
Last Friday, the Electoral Commission cancelled the Women Council elections, resulting from the failure to get the funds the Commission had requested to organize the elections. It's from this backlog that the National Unity Platform Party has pinned the Electoral Commission to provide more explanation, saying the party had done enough mobilization and preparation to win these elections. The party spokesperson Joel Senyonyi attributes the cancelling of these elections by the Electoral Commission to the National Resistance Movement Party after failing to gather enough support.
We have been preparing. We have invested time and resources to get set for these elections. And then all of a sudden, the Electoral Commission tells us we have suspended these elections because there's no money available. And yet we said we want to go the democratic way. It comes at a cost. And so we must be able to plan. Elections are not an emergency. So there's no way you can say you have not planned for an election, as if it is some emergency that has happened, unexpected. No. We know that after a couple of years, there's an election.
Commenting on the NUP party headed by Moses Nkonge Chibalama, the deputy spokesperson Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro says this is a move by the government to bring up numerous parties, especially in times of elections, with an intention of dividing up voters.
Just imagine if I woke up tomorrow and set up an NRM office anywhere in Uganda, what would happen? But because it is the regime and they want us to waste time when we are replying to them such vague answers. Teachers are striking because of emoluments. Our children have not been to school for over 2 years. We have a syllabus to cover, but the whole country has been thrown into hulabaru of NUP because it is what can take away the eyes from the real things we are supposed to speak about.
Senyonyi further commented on the 40 million shillings given to each member of parliament, ostensibly to cushion them during these tough economic times.
Well, Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back for the break. You're watching TV Africa, the Brighton. In international news, Somalia's parliament on Saturday anonymously endorsed Hamza Abdi Bare as new prime minister, paving the way for the creation of a new government. Now, all 220 lawmakers present gave their blessing to Bare's appointment, and he was then sworn into office, the parliament speaker said.
Hamza Abdi Bare, 48, told Parliament he would form a quality government that would focus on creating inclusive political stability in line with the president's motto for a reconciled Somalia that is at peace with the world. Somalia's new administration faces a raft of challenges, including a looming food crisis and a grinding insurgency by Al-Shabaab jihadists. The MP from the semi-autonomous state of Jubaland was chosen earlier this month by President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, who was elected by Parliament in May after a long delayed and stormy voting process. There are hopes that Mahmoud's presidency will draw the line under a seething political crisis that belighted the rule of his predecessor, Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, and threatened to plunge the country back into violent chaos. Mahmoud himself did not appear at the parliamentary session after he said on Friday that he had tested positive for COVID-19.
Away from that, Togo and Gabon joined the Commonwealth before the end of the meeting of the member states' heads of government on June 26th. Now, the two countries became the latest nations to join despite having no historic ties with Britain. The Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall at the Mauritius Hotel in Kigali joined leaders of 54 countries in the Commonwealth on Friday. The traditional Commonwealth heads of government dinner took place in Rwanda, which hosted the 26th block meeting. In addition to the representatives from the 19 African countries, a Togolese and a Gabonese delegation attended the event. The two countries are newest members of the Nations Association, and Gabon's capital residents were hopeful their country would benefit from the membership, Commonwealth member states, and home to more than 2 billion people, and cooperate on issues such as trade or education. Nkonge, a Libreville resident, is hopeful his country's admission to the Commonwealth will be beneficial to Gabon's economy. Robert Dussi, Togo's foreign minister, said that he expected Commonwealth membership to deliver new export markets, funding for development projects, and opportunities for Togolese citizens to learn English and access new education and culture resources. Well, thank you so much, your reporter. Moving on, Patrice Lumumba's coffin arrived on Sunday in Haut-Katanga in the southeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where a wake is being held at the site of the independence hero's murder. We have more on this report.
A single tooth is all that remains of the younger scholar and nationalist politician whose life and career were cut short in a dark struggle for leadership and control of resources in the Central African country. Joseph Anganda, executive of the Congolese National Movement, said that Patrice Lumumba for him is a master in thought, someone who brought political awakening to the Congo, not only to fight for independence but also for the future, and had a vision of making the Congo a united country and a strong country. After resting in his native village, the coffin of the former Belgian Congo's first post-independence prime minister pursued its memorial pilgrimage further. It was here in his town that Lumumba was executed in January 1961, 4 months after the end of his brief term in office. Kumel Kumerudu Kasongo, a resident of Lumumbashi, said that Shiratembo is a place of drama, as His Excellency the Prime Minister said, because it's the place where they decided to finish Patrice Lumumba off. Lumumba's body was dissolved in acid after he was killed, but a Belgian police officer kept the tooth as a trophy. Belgian authorities in 2016 seized the release from his daughter. The symbolic memorial ceremony in Kinshasa is planned for June 30, which is Independence Day.
Now, on Saturday, 4 days after the final report into corruption under his tenure was released, South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma fought back and slammed it as gossip. Now, speaking through his legal team and foundation members, the 80-year-old politician rejected the findings of the judicial report detailing how rampant corruption gutted state coffers during his presidency. We have the report. According to Nzwanale Manyi, spokesman for the Jacob Zuma Foundation, they hold the view that given the unlawfulness of how this inquiry was set up, it cannot be that its findings and recommendations are lawful, adding that the report is therefore a classical case of the fruits of a poisoned tree. Zuma had been billed to address the press conference, but his lawyers said they had advised him at the last minute to attend to avoid violation of his parole conditions. He set up the special probe panel himself in 2018 after a damning report by the National Ombudswoman about corruption at the state enterprises forced his hand. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo led the investigation during nearly 4 years. In more than 400 days of testimony, millions of pages of documents, and 300 witnesses, the inquiry incriminated 1,438 individuals and institutions, including Zuma. The report accuses Zuma of being a critical player in the plan to pilot state farms through the Gupta family of businesses tycoons. The Guptas allegedly influenced top government cabinet appointments, including those of cabinet ministers, and secured business deals with giant state-owned companies on widely favorable terms. Well, thank you so much, your reporter. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with business, health, and sports. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right. In a business news today, the latest figures from the Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency showed on Saturday that the country's annual inflation rate reached 191% in June, which is a new blow to the purchasing power of Zimbabweans.
The Southern African nation already suffers from sanctions that have exacerbated the pre-existing economic crisis, a context that makes it increasingly difficult for the population to afford a living. Since the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Zimbabwe's inflation rate shot up from 66% to more than 130% in May. In 2 months, it increased again to verge on 200%. The same month, Finance Minister Muthure Ncube said government would not hesitate to intervene to caution against price increases and exchange rate volatility. Zimbabweans are still waiting for governmental measures. In the meantime, the specter of hyperinflation is looming over the country. In 2008 and 2009, hyperinflation reached 500 billion%, according to the International Monetary Fund, and ravaged the country. At the time, 100 trillion Zimbabwean dollar banknotes were not enough to buy classic groceries.
Now, talking matters health in Africa today, President Cyril Ramaphosa arrived in Munich, Germany on Sunday for the G-7 summit. Now, South Africa will participate in the 2 outreach sessions on Monday, where issues of climate, energy, and health will be discussed, as well as addressing advancing gender equality and food security issues. The World Food Programme has urged the G7 to act in order to avoid record hunger. We have the report.
According to the South African presidency, the 2022 participation presents an opportunity for the nation to highlight the concerns of developing countries and to advocate for the continued global attention for equitable distribution of resources. Alongside the G7 member states and South Africa, other invited non-member states participating in the summit are the Senegal, Argentina, India, and Indonesia. The leaders are expected to tackle the just energy transition partnership. Ongoing talks have gathered the Senegalese government and the ambassadors of the G7 member countries in Dhaka. The partnership could see a support to Africa's decarbonization efforts. The JTP is based on the South African framework announced at COP26 in Glasgow and still under negotiation. France, Germany, Japan, the US, the UK, Canada, and Italy from the G7.
In sports news today, the 2022 Buganda Maseza Cup football tournament officially kicked off on Saturday, 25th June 2022 at the Maseza Recreation Stadium. Now, the opening duel between defending champions Budu and rivals Mawogola ended all square goal-less after 90 minutes. Take a look at the story.
Mawogola was a threat throughout the well-attended contest, with Alex Hazard Mutebi asking all short of questions to the Voodoo backline. Budu's half chance arrived in the second half when lanky forward John Vianney Bukenya lifted the ball over the advancing goalkeeper Ibrahim Mukasa into the net, but the effort was cancelled out for an offside call. The two sides earned a point as they kick-started the campaign with at least a point. His Majesty the King of Buganda Kingdom, Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II, graced this match as by the norms and customs. Maseza Cup is an annual Buganda Kingdom football tournament that was originated in 2004, comprising of 18 Buganda Kingdom counties competing for the tournament title. Airtel Uganda Managing Director Manoj Murali revealed that Maseza Cup is among the key social events organized by Buganda Kingdom, which ranks highly on the Airtel Uganda's calendar, and it is always a pleasure to join the Kingdom in the tournament preparations, and they pledge their continuous support.
Well, thank you so much for being a loyal audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.